Two, one, we are live.
Good morning. I'd like to call this session of Board of Revision to order, acknowledge that we are Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the River Métis. Our Treaty 1 comes from Shoaling 41st Nation and Treaty 3 territory. With me today are Valley Rahoon and Richard Whitbread. My name is Harvey Diamond. The City of Winnipeg Assessment Order is represented by Darren Ducharme and our Hearing Secretary, Stephen Lund. To the Zoom participants of this hearing, please note that you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it's your turn, you will be admitted to the meeting. Kindly follow along the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once those submit you to the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property, and once your hearing is concluded, you can leave the meeting. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rules in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision are requested described in each application. We will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing must be sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to a matter must first be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties not considered as evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes the decision on the basis of the evidence provided at the hearing, which is a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. And please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Metro Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench the matter pertains to an application for exemption from taxation. And should you wish to appeal, information on do so will be included with the Board's order. Expecting the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to ensure that each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have a session testimony followed by any questions that the applicant may have, and then the other session will follow any questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize the news and do so. And once all the evidence upon an application is brought forward, that we may leave, the process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all applications have been heard, and the Board will deliver it in private and make decisions. We receive the Board's order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded will form part of our record. And today we will be hearing items 1, 3, and 4, and 6 through 8. And Mr. Lund, you can please swear in the first applicant and the assessor.
Mr. Assessor, please stand. And please state your full name.
Darren Ducharme.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, my first item is 461 St. Anne's Road. And Mr. Ducharme, when you're ready, you can proceed.
Thank you. The file number is 22-3681. The roll number is 080-031-58500. The address is 461 St. Anne's Road for the roll year 2023 with a reference date of April 1st, 2021. We have a total assessed value of $575,000. This is a CMCU parcel use code. The zoning is C1, and we have a leasable area of 2,016 square feet. Our recommendation is to maintain the 2023 assessed value. On page 2, at the top, we have a parcel view of the subject in the Lavallee neighborhood, with Hindley and Stradler being cross streets, several blocks north of Bishop Grandin. On the bottom of page 2 is an aerial photo of the subject property on St. Anne's Road. On page,
So I understand that on this one, the applicant has requested simply confirm. Is that correct?
I don't know. Mr. Smith is email list.
That's what I've been advised. Okay. So I'll spare you the duty of having a look through everything. Okay. And I don't think he's not attending. So I think that we're prepared to if these requests and your recommendation we heard. So hopefully you've heard enough on that and we can proceed. Okay, thank you. So the next property then that we're doing would be one on 655 Center Avenue.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, Stephen. I'm not getting any volume out of the two of you, and I think Val, you're shaking your head. You're off, Val. Your audio is off.
Yeah, no, I can't hear anything. I didn't hear one word from the assessor, actually.
Yeah, I heard the first few paragraphs, but then I heard nothing after that.
2, 1, we are live.
Okay, the next one we're dealing with is number 300 docket 655 Westminster Avenue. And Mr. Brady is attending by Zoom on that matter.
Yes.
Swear him in.
Okay. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Timothy Browati.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I see that in this file, Mr. Sharma, you've got an application for non-cooperation. Can you please state the application you have? And give us the evidence that you have to back that up.
Okay. This is file number 22-3714. The roll number is 120-906-82000. The address is 655 Westminster Avenue. For the roll year 2023, with a reference date April 1st, 2021, we have an assessed value at $285,000. This is a commercial CMCMU property. The zoning is R2, and there's a leasable area of 786 square feet. The recommendation is to maintain non-compliance for 2023, and we accept the agent's recommendation for 2024. So go through the evidence for.
Okay, so you're accepting the recommendation, but you want
for 2024.
Okay, I think before that, I think we have to be satisfied that we're going to grant your application for non-cooperation. So maybe you can give us the evidence behind that, and then Mr. Brady, if he's agreeable, that might be, but
okay. So I ask you to turn to or on page 10 of my brief. What we see here is for this property, Canada Post was unable to obtain a signature. We see a tracking number, LP 6571-43201-CA, and a confirmation of the delivery date of June 29th, 2021, a delivery date for this property. On page 11, this is the delivery progress report from Canada Post. You notice it has the same tracking number. The last entry date stating the item was successfully returned to this center, June 29th at 8:49 a.m. There was no returned mail to the Assessment Taxation Department. The delivery report above, along with the fact that the mail was not returned, is sufficient for us to deem that the request was delivered and received. This aligns with legislation in the City of Winnipeg Charter regarding notice by mail, section 117.2. The City of Winnipeg Charter deems mail to be received on the third day after it is mailed. And then on pages 12 through 18 are the blank forms that were sent out but were not returned. And we have a history of non-compliance with this owner. The last that we previously received was in 2016. And previous to that was like 2007. And that would be my evidence. Thank you.
Ms. Maradi, are you accepting the non-cooperation that the city is requesting?
I tried to reach out to my client to get some background information on this. I unfortunately haven't been able to contact them. My only comment on this is going to be, as you're going to hear, while the assessment
excuse me, at this point you can ask questions to the assessor, and I'll let you after we go through questions then put forward your position on it. Okay.
Sure, I'll just I guess I'll get a question on.
If you have any questions of the assessor, you can ask them now.
Sure, I'll just say that this is agreeable that this is generally the building is boarded up. It's not currently being used. Are you agreeing with that?
Yes.
So there is no income or expenses for a building that's really vacant and boarded up. Is that correct?
That makes sense. Yes.
Okay, those I guess my only questions.
Okay, Ms. Weirhern, do you have any questions?
I don't have any, thank you.
Ms. Weirhern, do you have any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Ducharme, I see that it was sent to the owner at an address 5A-448 Harker Street. Do you know if that address has ever changed?
No, that was the last mailing. That's the address, the last mailing we sent.
Okay, and it was returned to the sender, so your position is that it was in fact received, even though not signed for.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Marati, I'll let you give your evidence if you like at this point on this.
Yes, thank you.
This is on compliance. Okay, at this point.
Right, yes. I would just say that, again, I have tried to reach out to my client to see if there's a story on this. I haven't been able to get a hold of them. I would say that obviously it wasn't signed for, they didn't get it. I know the client does travel out of town a fair bit. And my position would be that, again, this is really, as you're going to hear, a vacant lot for all intents and purposes. There's a building on site, it's boarded up, there's no income, there's no expenses. So again, I would say that any information that was to be received, I don't know if this information is requested for vacant land from the city, but for all intents and purposes, this is vacant land, so there's nothing to be submitted. Would be my argument.
Okay, fair. Mr. Ducharme, do you have any questions to ask Ms. Marati?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions for?
I don't. Thank you.
Ms. Whitbread, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I don't, thank you.
Okay, and I don't either, but I think we have to discuss this matter, so we're going to have to adjourn for a minute. Okay.
Two, one, we are live.
Okay, thank you. So we have made our decision, and the decision is that we're going to grant the city's application for non-cooperation. And the basis of our doing so, Mr. Brady, is that the city's met its obligations. We note that your argument that there was no income might be true, but the fact of the matter is that every person in the city has a requirement under the statute to comply with those requests, and we don't have jurisdiction when the city meets its requirements to differ. So we are granting the application. Now, I understand that from Mr. Ducharme that he is going to make a recommendation though, on the basis that it'll take effect in 2024. And we'll let Mr. Ducharme go ahead with regard to that, and maybe the basis of why you've agreed to it. Okay,
Correct. Yeah, we're agreeing to the applicant's recommendation for 2024 of 215,000. After further review, it was determined that the subject property is in fact vacant, has been for a while since last tenant was I believe 2017. It is boarded up, and confirmation through social media that it's for development purposes. it's been advertised for development purposes.
Okay. And the city takes position, I guess, that the vacant land, less demolition cost, would have a value of $315,000.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Brady, with your position, you're in agreement, obviously, since you made the recommendation.
Yes, in agreement with the $215,000.
Okay, panel members, any questions?
No,
Ms. Whitford, any question?
None, thank you.
no.
And I don't either, so thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Moratti. You'll get the board's order in due course.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye then.
Good morning. Okay, and so we'll next proceed with the property at 1823 Portage Avenue. Mr. Skowski, you're.
Oh, no, Stratford, sorry, if we have Stratford.
Stratford, I'm sorry.
Item 4.
Oh, item 4, sorry. Okay, you're right. 484 Stratford Avenue is our next property. And we have after the swearing on that property.
Yep. Just, and Madam Dickin, if you wouldn't mind unmuting and we will affirm you.
After the swearing on that property.
Yep. Oh, and if you don't mind turning off your YouTube stream. And Madam Dickin, if you
Oh,
wouldn't
okay,
mind
yeah.
unmuting and we will affirm you.
Okay.
No problem. Okay, so, Ms. Applicant, please state your full name.
Melanie Dickin.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Right, I'll need you to answer that question. Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Oh, can they hear us?
Hello?
Hi, are you able to hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so just, I'll need you to answer this question. Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we can now proceed then with 484 Stratford Avenue. And Mr. Chairman, you're ready, you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The file number is 22-1239. The roll number is 120-316-58000. The address is 484 Stradbrook Avenue for the roll year 2023 with a reference date April 1st, 2021. We have an assessed value of $1,007,000. The parcel use code is CMCMU. The zoning is C2. And we have a leasable area of 3,239 square feet. I do have a recommendation after further review, post submission to the brief. We're proposing to decrease the assessed value to $824,000.
Hey, Ms. Elkin, is that acceptable to you or do you want to proceed?
It absolutely is acceptable to me. But I've been probably more like the worth from Shindico. So that to me is acceptable.
Okay, I'm going to just ask Mr. Chairman how that was divided, 824,000 between 10 and 60 East Coast.
East Coast. So for 60T, I got 548,000 now. And the stream 2, the 10 remains the same at 276.
And the basis of why the 60 was reduced.
Yeah, it's we had a change in square footage for the main area due to the owner's 2020 mailer submission, and this was confirmed via permit for that property from a previous tenant. And we removed square footage for the basement. It's not in leasable condition based on pictures that was provided by the applicant in their brief. And there was a very small change, a small characteristic change that resulted as well in a slight reduction to the rent.
Okay. Mr. Ripper, do you have any questions?
I don't.
Mayor Hoon, do you have any questions? You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't either, so that's fine. So you'll get our order in short order, and so we have a reduction and we noted it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you, Ms. Dickens. Have a good day.
Yes, you too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, and our next property then is now, I'm just getting ahead of myself, but we're now on 1823 Portage Avenue.
And before you take a seat, we'll just affirm you very quickly. Well, Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Alas Sitkowski.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Sharm, when you're ready, you can proceed.
Thank you. This is file number 22-3544. The roll number is 075-691-38070. The address is 1823 Portage Avenue. For the roll year 2023 with a reference date April 1st, 2021, we have an assessed value of $1,448,000. This is a CMU property. The zoning is C2, and we have a leasable area of 5,047 square feet. Recommendation after further review to decrease the assessed value to $1,127,000.
Mr. Sitkowski, is that acceptable? Do you want to proceed?
I'd like to proceed, please.
Okay. Okay, you can proceed then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On page 2, my brief, at the top photo is an aerial parcel view of the subject property that's facing Portage between the cross streets Marjorie and Parkview. It's in the King Edward neighborhood. On the bottom of page 2 is the aerial view showing the front of the subject property. On page 3, another aerial view of the back of the subject property. And then in the middle photo is approaching the subject property on Portage from the south. And the bottom photo is a street view photo of the subject property from Portage Avenue. Page 4 at the top, subject sales history. There's no sales history for the subject property. And below that, we have our rent comparables. Most of the comparables are restaurant type comparables similar to the subject. And there are a couple on Portage Avenue as well in the same neighborhood, King Edward, same as the subject. On pages 5 and 6 are the income workups for the subject property, which have changed. Should I read out the new ones to recommendation?
Please do.
Okay. So for the restaurant stream, the premise ID is 6415. It's 1,837 square feet. We changed the rent from, we thought that was aggressive. We changed it from $18.69 to $16.07. And that led to a potential rent of $29,521. And for the premise below that, 26039, square footage is the same, 3,210. The rent, again, we felt was a bit aggressive, and that changed to $15.46. And so the potential rent for that particular premise went from $57,716 to $49,627. So that led to a potential rent change from $92,050 to $79,147. The vacancy loss percentage remains the same, 6%. It changed though from 5,523 to $4,749. Thus, the effective gross income changed from $86,527 to $74,527. $398. The expenses remained the same, and this led to a change in the net operating income from $81,508 to $69,744. And the cap rate changed as well from 6.65 to 7.30%, which led to a change in the capitalized value of $955,395 or $955,000 rounded for the restaurant stream for the REIT.
You know, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, it was my fault, not yours, but can you just give me your new NOI again?
Yes. The new NOI is $69,744.
Okay, thank you.
And then there's so for the apartment stream, there were also some changes. The monthly rent per suite be changed from $1,228.57 to $1,108.83, which changed the potential gross income from $14,743 to $13,305.96. So yeah, the potential gross income changed to 13,306 rounded. The vacancy loss is the same, and then the effective gross income changes from 14,271 to 12,880. The expenses changed to 42% from 40.23. And then so leading to an expense change from $5,741 to $5,398 dollars. The net operating income changed from $88,530 to $7,482. And the cap rate changed from 3.85% to 4.35%. And this led to a capitalized value of $172,000 from $222,000.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again? The capitalized value was what now?
4.35.
Oh, no, for the apartment.
Yeah, that's it changed. We changed
From 222 to what?
The value changed from 222,000 to 172,000.
Understand. Thank you, Kurt.
So I guess on page 7, I guess to break that down, the 60T would be 955,000. And the 10T would now be 172,000. And this would be leading to the revised value of 1,127,000. So this was done by changing the quality and conditioning of both the restaurant and apartment premises to reflect this change. The condition, very dated. It's going to need some, renovations to bring it up to sort of the normal standards of the area. Page 8 are the capitalization rates that we have. Page 9 are our municipal assessment acts. Pages 10 through 13 are the income and expense mailers we received for 2020, the subject properties owner occupied. And that would conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Sikowski, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ducharme, so I gather you did not inspect this property.
I did not.
And how did you determine that this building was rather aged? And how did you determine, because of that, how did you determine your new analysis of this particular building?
We relied on social media pictures, as well as we relied on the pictures that you submitted.
you relied on the pictures that I submitted?
as well.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you so much. Also, with respect to page 1 of your brief, you indicate that there is indoor parking. Oh, no, sorry, there is no indoor parking, 0, 0. There's no parking at all. Is that correct on, with respect to this property?
Yeah, I believe if we look at the top of page 3 at the back, there is like very limited parking, but in general, I'd agree there's parking would be very limited, yes.
And can you point that out? Yeah, I think you were referring to page 2, right?
Yeah, top of page 3, there's the back of the subject property.
Top of page 3, I only see the subject property in Portage Avenue. Are you referring to the
Like I'm talking about maybe parking behind.
parking? So you're aware that there's an empty lot there, and does that lot belong to the owner?
Oh, behind this property?
No, I don't know. Is that what you're referring to?
No, I was referring to the property itself.
Oh, so there's the property itself. So there is a space for how many cars do you think? I mean, there are. I believe I see 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4 automobiles there.
Yeah. So it'd be about maybe one more. Or 2 more, maybe.
2 more. Now,
Yes, agreed.
Would that parking be available to people that coming into the restaurant, or
No,
that's just parking for the owners and people who work in the restaurant, I believe. Is that
right.
correct?
That makes some sense.
So in essence, there is no parking
Yeah, I
for
would agree.
customers.
Yeah.
Okay. And with respect to page 5, first of all, just before I ask that question, this building is the age of this 1955. Is that correct?
I think that's when it was originally built.
Yeah, so it's
correct.
70. What's that? Over 45. Over 65 years old, right?
That sounds right. Yeah, I believe it was built around 1955.
55, yes. Mm-hmm. And so we turn to page 5 of your brief. So you said that for your recommendation, you've increased the cap rate from 6.65 to 7.3. Could I just ask you how you arrived at these cap rates? First of all, how did you arrive at the 6.65 and then 7.3?
Well, they're both model-driven cap rates, and then when we adjust for characteristics, it also changed. When we adjusted the characteristics because of the condition of the property, it also changes.
So you don't refer to page 8 of your brief. You show listings of cap rates.
Not for CMU properties. We don't have a listing for those.
And CMU properties, they're restaurant properties. Is that correct?
Not necessarily. It could be retail on the bottom. Like in this case, it's a restaurant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so you believe now that because of the age of the building, because of the condition of the building, the cap rate should increase.
Yes, that was reflected in my recommendation. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Those are all my questions.
Thank you. Ms. Verhoeven, do you have any questions?
None at this time, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Winnipeg, do you have any questions?
I have none, thank you.
I guess my only question is, I see you adjusted the cap rates, and the cap rate I think that you adjusted on the 60T is reasonable in my mind. But don't you think that the cap rate on the residential portion is pretty aggressive? It's only, even with the adjustment, it's only 4.35. And I know that if we were looking at multifamily, which is this, they basically start at 4.8, and it seems it's an older building.
Yeah.
I
agree. It does seem a bit low when we compare it to multifamily rates, and it could be Yeah, maybe closer to 5%, yeah, at least. I think that's kind of, there's no, cap rate for this type property, but I would say the multifamily maybe would be.
Yeah, okay,
closest.
multifamily.
And they're at,
Yeah.
our lower is 4 points, so yeah, I would agree somewhere in between, but.
And I'm looking at the multifamily, and I think that the way you describe this property, it might go closer to the 80 percentile than 20 percentile, which should
I can't.
cap it up at 5.6 maybe.
I can't disagree. It was a model rate.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
And that happens sometimes in computers, and that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Because okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Can you please repeat that? You agree that the cap rate should probably be higher? Is that?
I was agreeing with Mr. Diamond, yeah.
Okay. Approximately.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
And I indicated, I thought that, based on, if we look at multi-residential, if it's 80%, it'll be 5.6. Which I didn't think seemed far out, and Mr. Deschamps said that that was
I
possible.
was thinking more around 5, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Sikowski, you can, that's all the questions, so you can proceed now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm just going to be referring to my brief. Page 1 of the brief, of course, shows the picture of the subject property. It's located several kilometers west of Polo Park area. And I think you could tell even by this picture that the exterior of the building looks somewhat dated. So the suite, there's one suite in this building, and that suite is on the second floor. And as I understand from the owner of this building, that his mother lives in a suite. I have pictures of this property, including the suite, and you'll see how dated it looks when we continue with the presentation. So if we now turn to page 3 of my presentation, unfortunately, because it took we were so rushed in presenting this, I thought we were going to be reaching an agreement with the assessor, and there are some issues with that presentation. I'm just wondering if I could clarify those issues. So we're asking actually for, if you notice on the right-hand side, we're asking for assessment not for 763,000, but for 789,000, which is broken up as follows: 667,000 for the commercial, for the restaurant or commercial portion of the building, and 122,000 for the residential part of the building. And we do not disagree with the rental rates. The only issue that we have is with cap rate, which we're asking for a cap rate of 8%, and that would reduce the building to $763,000. And with respect to the on page 3 of the brief, with respect to the residential portion of the property, we're asking an increase of in the cap rate to 7%, from the original cap rate of 3.85%, and I realized that that the assessor has increased the cap rate to 5.6, but we still believe that the cap rate in this instance is still too low, because as you will see going into the brief, if you will see by the pictures that that this building is very, very dated. And so I'd like to refer now to page 6 of my brief, and I want to show you a picture of from the rear of the property. You'll notice that there isn't hardly any room for parking. In fact, the owner, I believe that you'll note that near the left side of the building, the owner stores a camper. There's a camper trailer there, I believe, a truck and a couple of cars. Those cars belong either to the owner or to the employees of the restaurant. Page 7 of the brief is an interior shot, and I just want to point out that I'm the person that inspected this property. I took these pictures. It looks pretty dated, and if you take a it's maybe not as evident as I wanted it to be, but if you take a look at the ceiling tiles, you'll note that those tiles are, some of them at least, are curling up in the corners. Page 8 is the bathroom. It's recently renovated. It had to be renovated in order to maintain code. Page 9 is a picture of the kitchen area. You'll note that on the left side of that picture, there's a bit of a storage area, and you'll note that the walls there are they're pretty rough walls, and that's a very tight area there. That storage area, it's not that easy to walk through that area. Page 10, you'll see in near the rear, you'll see what condition the hallway is in. Page 11, my gosh, take a look at those staircase. Very, very rough condition. I'm sorry, Mr. Ducharme, you didn't have a chance to visit this property and check it out yourself. Page 12, this is in the basement. Some of the basement is actually finished to this level, but you'll note, you take a look at the ceiling tiles again. There are issues with the ceiling tiles. There are water stains on some of them. Page 13 is the mechanical room, or part of the mechanical room. You'll notice how rough the exterior walls look. And same with page 14 is the utility room. And again, you'll note how those walls look. They're pretty rough, and some of them have been, looks like those exterior walls, some of them have been patched up a bit. Page 15 is inside the apartment. Now, this is very interesting. Honestly, I haven't seen such an apartment before, but you'll note that the heating pipes that are not located in the walls, but they're located outside the walls. They're external heating pipes. Very dated, and you'll notice the heating. There's a heating furnace. Looks like it's inside the living room, I believe. And the other issue I have is with respect to page 17, and I'm not sure if this is something that this board can act on, but prior to 2023, there were two roll numbers for this property. There was a roll number for the restaurant and a different roll number for the apartment. And you'll note that on page 17 for the 2023 assessment, the water frontage measurement is 122 feet, and the sewer frontage measurement is 226 feet. But if you turn to page 18 and 19, these are prior to 2023. These are the different roll numbers for the actual property, and it was known as 1825 and 1823 portage. And for example, 1825, if you please look at the front water frontage measurement, it shows it being 48 feet, and a sewer frontage measurement showing it to be 48 feet. And then the final page 19, 1823 portage, it shows the water measurement frontage to be 24 feet and the sewer frontage 24. So if you add up the total frontage for these two properties, as it existed prior to the merger.
This is us, we don't know if it was wrong before and it's been corrected. You know, you gotta go through the city, you know, we don't.
That's why I initially mentioned, I don't know if this is the right,
If there's a mistake, you know, we don't know which mistake it is. If it's correct now, it was wrong before.
Okay.
Or, you know, so we can't.
it's just that, I understand, sir, the owner mentioned this to me, to us to argue this issue, but do you know where we would go to see, because unfortunately, this is the first time something like this has arisen.
Yeah, I can't tell you where to go, but I'm sure you can find it.
Okay, well,
Call
okay.
311 and wait for 411.
311, you're asking me to call 311? Okay. And, all right, sir, I'll do that then, and I believe that is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, any questions of the applicant?
Yeah, I guess it's on page 2. Your rental rate at $12. I'm just wondering where
Yeah, it's,
that was.
again,
what that was based.
again, I do apologize about that. Well, we feel the rental rate, again, $12 is because of the state of the building. We feel that a more applicable rate is 12. I think, what rate did you use, sir?
I think the revised was 15.
15, yeah, so we're not too far off.
46, yeah. Okay, and just looking on that same page, like the total assessed value doesn't seem like the market value. Yeah, it's 674,000, but then if I bring it down, it looks like a 632,000.
Yeah.
So if that changed, the actual value would be 805.
Yeah, my apologies because of the restricted time that we had to produce this. You know, we're all very busy. I did mention at the beginning that value for the restaurant, we're asking for that value to be 667,000, and for the residential portion to be 122,000 for a total value of 789.
Okay. And like half. I just wonder what page 16 is referring to.
Page 6, you're talking about the
An
picture?
average and median net rent of restaurant comps on page 16. I'm not sure what that's referring to.
Oh, page 16.
Yeah.
We just wanted to include some rents that we noticed existed for restaurants that actually are not in the same boat as this subject restaurant, and so we arrive at an average rent of $18.29, but because of the condition of the subject property, we feel that $12 is more adequate.
All right, that's all I have for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rue, do you have any questions?
You're muted, Val.
Yes. Hi, sir. Thank you. Is this restaurant, is this still in operation?
It is in operation, yes. I was there approximately I was there 1 o'clock one afternoon, and it was still closed at that time. So it's open in the afternoons.
Okay, and you've throughout your presentation, you stressed the condition of the property and the age. But looking through the pictures, a lot of that are things that can be changed. Ceiling tiles, no matter what the age of the building is, there doesn't seem to be any improvements done in this property to bring it up a bit.
Well, there have been some improvements. I should mention, and that's with respect to the washrooms. If you take a look at page 8, page 8, for example, you'll note that there has been an improvement to that washroom. And I looked at the other washrooms. I believe this is a men's washroom. I peeked into the ladies' washroom, and it seemed to be in a similar type of condition.
Okay.
But if you take a look at the structure of the building, if you take a look at the lower level on this, and let's say the stairs, on page 11, you'll note that area is in really bad shape. If you take a look at the basement, I'm looking at page 14 of my brief, and I'm looking at the exterior walls. They're in pretty rough shape. Those walls, so it would take quite a bit to, if one wanted to upgrade those walls, it would take quite a bit of resources to upgrade those walls. And if you take a look at the unit, the suite, for example, page 15, again, this reminds me of very, very, very old type of construction or building. It seems like this is my opinion. It seems like there was not enough heat in this particular part of the building, and the owners installed a furnace and piping that's on the exterior of the walls.
Sorry, sir. Also, like looking at it, since you mentioned the suite, looking at the suite, and without seeing windows or anything else, because there's only one picture there, is this still considered code? Like, would that be considered a legal suite?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all if it would be considered. I've never entertained that point. Let me just see if I have some more pictures. I think I did. I have a few more pictures here, but I didn't submit them. I'm just going to look at the windows.
Well, not only the windows, but having that furnace in the middle of the room, from what we can see. I'm just wondering if that, but.
You know what? I mean, on second thought now, I understand what you're possibly suggesting, and as I said, I've never seen that before, and I'm not sure. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's not up to code, and that's why I initially at the outset of my presentation I indicated that the owner's mother lives there. Maybe the mother doesn't want to complain or anything.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Whitburn, any questions?
Yes, I want to follow that line of questioning just a bit more. Is the owner the one who runs the restaurant?
Yes, sir.
And it's the owner's mother who lives in the suite?
That's correct.
And we have a 1955 building. The effective date is 1955. Have there been any permits that you're aware of that have shown improvements to the property? Short of the bathrooms, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm not aware of any permits. Maybe the assessor might be aware of any permits.
I don't believe there are none.
Right. So whose responsibility is it to maintain this property, sir?
Well, it is the owner's responsibility to maintain it. And we have, we could discuss at length why maybe it hasn't been maintained or more money put in. I mean, I would argue that the owner doesn't have, the wherewithal to upgrade this building. I don't know. I could argue that, but I don't know for sure. And
if you don't know, you shouldn't answer. Well, I don't know is just fine.
Okay.
But in essence, the owner is the one responsible for upgrading the property, no one else.
That's correct.
Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions either. Thank you. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Sikorski. We will render a decision on this in short order, and thank you for your appearance.
Thank you, Connie.
Yes, we can. So we're going to take a short recess. Okay, the next property is the property at 187 Henderson Highway. And we swear in Mr. Navarro.
Mr. Navarro, please state your full name.
Marcelo Navarro.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, Mr. Sharm, you can proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just had a quick question about 390. Osborne. I had that on my docket.
Oh.
I believe that was adjourned to a later date. Yeah, we have that as adjourned.
Yes, I'm not on the latest docket, so.
Okay. Sorry.
No problem. Good clarification.
Okay, file number is 22-3181. Roll number is 140-835-62000. The address is 187 Henderson Highway. For the roll year 2023 with a reference date April 1st, 2021. We have an assessed value of $865,000. This parcel is a CMU property. The zoning is C2. We have a leasable area of 5,824 square feet, and our recommendation is to maintain the assessed value. On top of page 2, a parcel view of the subject property. The subject is located in the Chalmers neighborhood. And on the bottom of page 2, an aerial photo of the subject property at the corner of Henderson and McIntosh Avenue. The top of page 3, an aerial view from above the subject property. And the bottom of page 3 is a street view photo of the subject property facing McIntosh Avenue. Page 4, the subject sales history. There is no recent sales history. And then we have the comparables. CMCU comparables are difficult to find, but comparable 770 Notre Dame is one, and 194 Taché are two properties that are also CMU properties that sold. All the comparables are zoned the same C2 as the subject property. On page 5 and 6, show the subject property income streams, which is also summarized on page 7. So on page 7, we have a potential rent of $84,987. A vacancy loss applied at 21.11%, giving an effective gross income of $67,042. We have an expense percentage of 13.07%, and a shortfall of $1.48 per square foot, giving a net operating income of $55,831 with a capitalization rate at 6.45%. We have an estimated market value of $865,000. Page 8, we have our capitalization rate chart. Page 9, our municipal assessment acts chart. And pages 10 through 13 are the submitted income and expense mailers we received from the owner, which is an owner and occupied property. And that would conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, any questions?
Yes. I guess the first question would be on page 6, which is the capitalization rate of 3.75%. Can you tell me something about that capitalization rate, how it was chosen, or was this all model driven?
Yes, it's model driven.
Okay, so and you had no input in this?
No.
And you haven't looked at any other market information relating to cap rates on apartment buildings?
No, not personally, no.
Okay. And we'll note on page 8 of your report that this is a standard capitalization rates that are, I guess, published in every brief that the city of Winnipeg presents. The multi-family section, the 20th percentile is between 4.8, or is at 4.8, and the 80th percentile is at 5.6. So this is actually below that. And given that the property
You guys have
is,
questions, that's argument, but if you, please provide your
so
question.
given that the property is an older building built in 1935, would this not typically have a higher risk profile and then require a higher cap rate?
I would agree the cap rate does seem low. What would be acceptable, and it would be difficult to say. Somewhere I would say in the multifamily range. I would agree with you.
Okay. And I note on your page 10 that the actual income for these 4 suites was 12,600, and that is noted as being gross. So the model has accepted a slightly higher gross income, correct?
Sorry, page 10.
Yes, page 10. So this is the income and expense information that was submitted by the subject, or by the owner.
Right.
You'll note that they've noted $12,600 plus additional parking of $540 for a total income of $13,140. Can I assume that this is strictly residential income because the rest of it is owner occupied? I assume. Is that correct?
It would seem to be, yes.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ripper, any questions?
I have none, thanks.
Ms. Rickler, any questions?
None, thanks.
Thank you. And I don't either, so Mr. Navarro, you can proceed.
Okay, so this is again 187 Henderson. And the residential units are on the second floor. So effectively what they've done is they've transformed what used to be the Elmwood Post Office into bachelor suites on the top floor. There are 4, they're not 3. And in terms of finding information that is comparable to this, it was rather difficult to find situations like this. We agreed with the the income that was suggested by the assessor. You'll note there that we have 6533. It actually should be 7406 to match the assessor's net operating income. So our issue with the apartment side of it, the multifamily side, was the capitalization rate. So whereas the capitalization rate that the assessor had was 3.75%, you'll note on our page 9 that we have used a 6.25% capitalization rate. And that is based on the age of the property, being built before 1946. Our range is between 6.1 and 6.6. I've chosen a rate of 6.25. In terms of the commercial income, again, very difficult to find comparables for this type of property. We've used a rent of $9.90. Vacancy allowance, we haven't adjusted, $650 shortfall. In this case, we haven't added for any other type of non-recoverables. So our net operating income is $50,301, and we've just adjusted the capitalization rate to a higher amount of 9.5. In terms of the end value, based on the amount that we had and the capitalization rate that we used, the multi-res end value is $119,000, and the class 60, the commercial, is $530,000 for a total of $649,000. And I'm open for questions.
Mr. Sharma, any questions?
Thank you. I accept one. I'm just looking at page 11 for your So you're using, like you mentioned previously, we are close in terms of the operating income, but you use a cap rate of 9.5 for the commercial. I'm just wondering how that was determined.
So if you received our capitalization rate report, I believe we had sent in the retail capitalization report and the multi-res capitalization report. You should have received both from us. On page 32 of 95 of the capitalization report, this would be the retail one. We have retail top quality where we've used the non-recoverable 5%. And then there is the 1% non-recoverable. We're not using the non-recoverable. The retail top quality assets range between 650 and 7. The retail standard quality ones range between 7 and 750. And the retail low quality ones range between 775 and 8.25. And again, we haven't used any non-recoverables. And we are somewhat adjusting for the fact that this property is slightly older. It's not your atypical retail property. So, but at the very minimum, I think we should have a cap rate between 7.75 and 8.25.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Whipper, any questions?
Just one, some confusion on my part. You indicated a value for the residents at 119, did you, for a total of 649?
So, Mr. Whitbread, I will. Yes. There was a correction that needed to happen there. So, if you turn to page 8, I noted the net operating income as 6533. I also mentioned there that we agreed with the rent applied by the assessment and taxation branch. Okay. However, that was not 6533. It was actually 7406. So if you look at the assessor's net operating income for the multi-res portion, you'll note that their net operating income on page 5 of their report is 7406.
Yep.
Okay, so that is where I got it from. So we had no issue with the net operating income. Our issue was strictly on the capitalization rate, and the capitalization rate was 3.75. We suggested a higher capitalization rate at 6.25. So if you capitalize that same 7406 at 6.25, you get 119,000. I mean, that's rounded.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Rowan, any questions?
Yes, the actual year of the building is 1935 and the city shows 1975. Were there any permits taken out for improvements on the building?
I imagine that the improvements that have been made were to create the residential units upstairs, the 4 bachelor units, and then there was alterations to the main level where the restaurant was created. So prior to this, the property had been used as an art gallery for a little while. And I believe somewhere, I could be mistaken, it could be in the late 90s, it stopped being used as a post office, but it was used as a post office, I believe, right until, the turn of the millennium.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I'm looking at your photograph that you have, Mr. Durrell, of the outside of the building. And I know the building. I've been there myself. Sorry. I was there actually. I'm giving away my age, but I was there when it was a post office. I remember it had an upstairs, but it was basically an open floor. So they had to do extensive renovations to create the 4 bachelor apartments because you used to look upstairs and it was just multi-ceiling with sort of a mezzanine around the edges.
Right.
If I recall correctly. And The outside of the building itself, I don't think it's changed much. It's a nice, solid looking building. And probably didn't need any changes. I mean, it's a nice old brick building, looks pretty solid. The inside had to be changed significantly to create the 4 bachelor suites upstairs. So the city, having put down a 1975 date, is probably being generous, because I'm sure that it was done after in the 80s or late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
After it was an art gallery. So I'm not sure when that converted. And so I would say that maybe, you know, I agree that a 3.75 cap rate is pretty low, but I don't know if it's reasonable. That's my question, to be as high as you've indicated.
6.25?
Yeah.
Well, so the risk is in the age of the property. You're right. I mean, it probably has been altered somewhat. But then there is also the potential return on a type of property like that. So you're limited by what you can charge on bachelor suites, and you can see by the actual returns, it's half of what the model, more than half of what the model is predicting. So I don't know if the return on investment is that great for those 4 bachelor suites. So that's why we assign more risk to it. It's not like your typical apartment building where, you know, you would see a little bit more return on your investment. I don't know. So I would say that you would probably have to see somewhat more risk applied to it.
Okay.
Plus, it's also 4 units. You get 1, then you've got 25% vacancy.
Well, yeah, but if the rent's as cheap as you indicated, I don't know if it'd be very difficult to fill them.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be. It's not the Ritz.
Okay. That's my questions. Thank you. And so we now are going to proceed with the final matter on the docket today, which is 235 Burroughs. And Mr. Sharma, you ready? You can proceed.
Thank you. This file number is 22-2891. The roll number is 140-301-65100. The address is 235 Burroughs Avenue. For the roll year 2023, with a reference date April 1st, 2021, we have a assessed value of $640,000. This is a CMU property, zoning C2, with a leasable area 3,418 square feet. Our recommendation is to maintain the assessed value. On page 2 is a parcel view of the subject on Burroughs and the corner of Main. And the bottom of page 2 is a photo, an overhead view of the subject property, corner of Main and Burroughs. Top of page 3, aerial photo at the top, and below are some Google Street View photos of the subject property from a couple of different angles. Page 4, the subject sales history, and then the rent comparables. Several of the comparables are located in close proximity to the subject and are exposed to Main Street, which is similar to the subject, and all are zone C2, same as the subject. The mean is 1176 and the median is 1170 of these comparables. Page 5 and 6 are the 2 income streams, which are summarized on page 7. On page 7, we have a potential rent of $66,395. A vacancy loss 4.80%, giving an effective gross income of $63,205. We have an expense percentage of 22.21%, a shortfall of $5.16 per square foot, giving a net operating income of $47,731. We have a cap rate applied of 7.45%, giving an estimated market value of $640,000. Page 8 is our capitalization rate chart, and page 9, the municipal assessment excerpts. Pages 10 through 16 are the income and expense mailer information that has been sent in by the owner, and this subject property is also owner occupied. And that would conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vero, any questions?
Again, this was all model. You had no input in this.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, those are my questions. Thank you.
Mr. Rupert, any questions?
I have none, thanks.
Ms. Rahoon, any questions?
None at this time, thank you.
Thank you. And I don't either. So, Mr. Rivera, you can proceed.
Again, this is 235 Burroughs. This is on the corner of Burroughs and Main Street. And if you turn to page 4, you can see the overhead picture to see the general area of the location and a street view picture. In terms of the apartment, I will ask you to turn to page 10. That is where we have the valuation. So we've stabilized the income at 26,472. The effective gross income is 25,625. We've applied 3.2% vacancy to it. Expenses are 54.7% or $14,010. Gives us a net operating income of 11,615, which we've capitalized at 5.75, giving us a value of 201,998 or 202,000 rounded. If you flip over to the next section, that is the commercial valuation portion. So we have a space of 3,418 square feet, a rent that we've applied of $8.50. That gives us an income of $29,053. A vacancy allowance of 6% has been applied, giving us an effective market income of $27,310. After expenses, we get a net operating income of $25,055 and a capitalization rate of 9.05, giving us an income value of $276,850, or 277,000 rounded. And that is, again, capitalized at the same rate that I believe the assessor has on their property. At least the commercial portion. 9.05. So if you turn to page 13, just to summarize, the multi-res portion is 202,000 and the commercial class 60 is 277,000 for a total of 479,000. And I'm open for questions.
Mr. Sherman, any questions?
Thank you. One, I notice on page 12, your comparables, the average is 914, the median is 990, and you're using a rental in your of $8.50. How was, I guess, wondering why you're using a value less than
So
your comparables.
Again, hard to find comparables in this area. But I know this area quite well, and I know the first two also. Older building, 1825 Main Street, is more in the West Kildonan area, which I believe is a better area. Same with Mandalay, Jefferson. I believe those are just better areas. So that is simply adjusting the rent based on the location, because you're just simply not going to achieve as high rent as you would in those areas.
Thank you. That's all.
Mr. Whipwread, any questions?
I have nothing, thank you.
Ms. Warhead, any questions?
I have nothing. Thank you.
And I don't either, so thank you.
Thank you.
Read our decision, so you'll both receive it in short order. Thank you. Thank you. We can now adjourn this matter or close this matter and all items on the agenda. Thank you.